Today we're going to talk about dual fuel systems. The basement that we're currently in, I guess you can't really call it a basement, we're kind of in a back corner here. This is a very confined space back here, and I really wanted to use this as an example to, number one, show you a dual fuel system, a very efficient dual fuel system, and show you what our guys can do in situations like this. So anyways, what we have here is we have an Amana two-stage variable speed gas furnace. The two-stage simply means that we have a high fire and a low fire. We have two different capacities. You need low capacity in the fall, but in the winter you're going to need high fire or all of its capacity. The variable speed part of it talks about basically the motor, the blower motor that distributes the air throughout the house. It's a very, very electrically efficient motor. And we've had great success with it pushing air to parts of the home that you may have never had air before. So basically that's coupled with an outdoor unit, which is called an air source heat pump. And we'll touch on that briefly in a little bit. So basically what happens is we're going to, the thermostat's going to dictate what we need to do. So if the thermostat says, hey, you know, we need air source heat pump, it's going to turn the air source heat pump on. If the thermostat says, hey, we need gas furnace, it's going to turn the gas furnace on. What we have at the exhaust of the furnace is we have a test port. There's one thing I want to touch on that I don't know if anybody else does, but it may be unique just to us, I'm not sure. A combustion test. What Amana specifies is that we need to be within a certain gas pressure range and a certain temperature rise range, along with other things like voltages and amperages and all that good stuff. I like to take it one step further. We have a test port on the unit that we put a combustion analyzer into, and we actually do a combustion test. The combustion test is the actual best way to see how efficient your system is running, how efficient your furnace is running. And that tells us if there's any problems on startup, any problems on shutdown, and so on and so on. We're briefly going to talk about the air source heat pump portion of this dual fuel system. Directly on the other side of this wall is what we call an Amana ASZC16 air source heat pump. Quite simply put, that's what's going to give us about 50% of our heating needs and all of our cooling needs. So the unit outside, everybody looks at it and they say, hey, you have an air conditioner. Well, this particular client has an air source heat pump. So I'll keep it simple. Basically how it works is we will calculate what outdoor temperature we're going to allow that outdoor unit to run down to. So in this particular case, I do believe we're set at either 25 or 30 degree outdoor temperature. Simply means that we will allow the heat pump to come on down to that temperature. So let's say it's 25 degrees and it drops to 24 degrees. The thermostat's going to recognize that. It's going to say, hey, we don't want you on. We probably don't have enough BTUs to absorb from the outside air to bring it into the indoor coil. We're going to shut you off. We're going to leave the gas furnace on. That's really going to help you in the spring and in the fall, because in the spring and in the fall you do need some heat, but you don't need all of the BTUs that your gas furnace is going to give you. Now this particular situation, we have the air source heat pump coupled with an LP gas furnace. Now LP gas tends to be higher price than natural gas, but we have lots of them out there, dual fuel systems that are on natural gas. Take for a quick example my house. My house, when I was on propane gas, I'm on natural gas now. When I was on propane gas, I had a regular air conditioner and I had a two-stage variable speed furnace, quite similar to this one. When I installed the air source heat pump, my utility bills dropped about 39%. Now, what'll happen is my propane consumption came down considerably, but my electrical consumption went up. The difference between the two was about 39% savings. That's a payback of about a year or two. Now that I have natural gas, I still run my air source heat pump, but what I do is I say, okay, natural gas is cheaper than propane, so therefore I'm going to only allow my air source heat pump to run to about 35 degrees. Anything below 35 degrees, we turn on the natural gas portion of the furnace. The average customer sees about 15 to 50% in savings on a dual fuel system.